Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by Regular Dude and a follow-up video on the Sparmax Flyer airbrush. So my purpose here is to clarify a few things about how this airbrush actually works. I've gotten a few comments from a subscriber, 43 Rocket, and he's been asking some specific questions about a few things, and I figured a quick video with visuals would be a lot easier to explain and answer some of the questions that he has. All right, so let me break down kind of how this works. Now, this is a single action airbrush, and it works on the same principle as like a Pache H airbrush, just kind of backwards. So I'm going to explain how that works. So what you have is you have this fixed piece right here. Let's zoom in a little bit. This part right here is fixed, and inside of here you can see a cone with a hole in it. That is where the air comes through. This right here is the nozzle of the airbrush. Now, when I pull this bottle out, you can see that it all comes out except for that air nozzle. So the way this works is this is the nozzle right here, and it's connected to the bottle. So you put your paint in here, you screw it in, you've got your paint ready to go. So what happens is when this nut part fits into this rubberized kind of, it's a friction fit, it fits in like that and holds the nut in place. So when you turn the bottle, it turns the lid and everything. So what it's doing, say it's still in the airbrush, when you twist the bottle, it's pulling the needle in the nozzle backwards, allowing for more paint flow. So let me take this off so you can see what it looks like. Okay, it's got a seal in it. It's like a Teflon seal, and it's pretty tight because when you insert it, you have to kind of put a little bit of pressure before you start threading it on there. So then, as you can see here, this is the opening where the paint comes out and is drawn along the needle. It comes out this hole on the nozzle. Okay, so hopefully that kind of makes sense. Let me get a little bit closer so you can see what I'm talking about. There's that little notch right there where the paint flows through and out and over the needle. All right, so that is how it works. So when it's completely bottomed out like this, the tip of the needle is just barely sticking out of the nozzle, which doesn't allow any paint. So as you unscrew it, it allows gradually more and more fluid, paint in this case, to flow out. All right, that's how it works. It kind of works on the same principle as a Pache H single action, if anybody's familiar with those. The difference being that on a Pache H, you're actually using your fingers to turn this part because it's external to the rest. But hopefully I didn't confuse anybody. But that's all there is to it. It's very, very simple, and that's how it works. Now, another question was how, 43 Rocket asked, was how do I clean the nozzle or the needle or whatever. It's actually quite simple. You know, I just take that out like that, take the bottle off. Depending on what kind of paint or primer or clear or whatever I'm using, sometimes I'll leave it on here and just run some thinner through it first, or some cleaner. Just basically, you know, put some in and spray it out. But generally what I do to clean it is I take the bottle apart, or take the lid and the bottle apart. I just take some You know, if I'm using something water-based acrylic, I'll use some water, shake it up, get the bottle cleaned out. Then I'll rinse this under running water, again, if it's a water-based acrylic, and get as much paint or whatever out of the way before I move on to deep cleaning it. Same here, just run some water or thinner, whatever, and clean that out. So when I need to deep clean it, what I do is I'll get a little something like this, and I'll put the cleaner, appropriate cleaner, whether it's lacquer thinner or an acrylic cleaner or whatever, and I'll just put some in here. Then using just one of these little dental brushes, I guess there's, you know, actual airbrush cleaning kits that have these type of brushes. I like these because they're cheap for a big bag of them. And then I can just, using the thinner, I can clean out the inside of the nozzle like that. I can use a pipe cleaner the same way, dip it in the thinner, carefully clean it out like that. It's not very hard, it's pretty easy. And as long as you don't let the paint sit in there for very long, you shouldn't have a problem. You can also put the brush in from this direction to really clean going that way. It'll knock anything loose, or anything that's stuck, it'll knock it loose. Clean it out. Then I just put the nozzle back on after everything's cleaned up pretty well. Then I will put a little bit of cleaner in the brush. Sometimes I'll even use like distilled water if it's a water-based acrylic. Put it back in there, put it back on the airbrush, crank it open a little bit, and then spray fluid and just blow any loose stuff out. So that's all there is to it. Pretty simple setup. It doesn't do real fine spray work, but it will do good base coats, primer coats, clear coats, whatever. I suppose with a little bit of practice and getting your paint consistency right, you could paint some, you know, finer camouflage schemes on, say, a 1/35th scale aircraft, or a 1/32nd scale aircraft, or a 1/35th scale armored vehicle. But overall, it's pretty good airbrush. It's become kind of my go-to for spraying clear coats, oddly enough. So there you go. Hope that was helpful. 43 Rocket, if you could put down in the comments if this answered your questions, or if you have any more, I'll be more than happy to answer anything else. I'll even do more demonstrations if you like. So anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.